Hey y'all, it's Nancy, the Handy Scandy. Welcome back for another crafty venture. As I am finishing up my holiday card making, I decided I want to go a bit bigger on this one. This one has all the bells and whistles, and it was about 3 hours worth of crafty footage that I edited down to about 10 minutes. I've used a bunch of products, and they'll all be linked and listed below, but if I've missed anything, please let me know. We are starting out with the Mousse Tangle stamp as well as the Hexagon dies. And there are a couple others, and if I don't remember to mention what I'm using through the video, again, it'll be listed and linked downstairs. So I die cut 2 of the largest scallop hexagons, and that's going to be our base, but I set them aside. And then I am using my Karin brush marker pros again to color up this image. It is stamped with VersaFine Onyx black ink and heat embossed with some black embossing powder. And I just like to use my work surface as my palette. I don't pull out anything fancy, no plates or anything like that, except up on the top rightish there. You can see a little plate, and that's just what I use instead of a water cup. So I just spray a little bit of water on that, and yeah. So when I use my work surface as a palette like this, I just scribble out some pigment from the various watercolor markers that I want to use, and then I kind of dilute it with some water, and I pick it up with my paintbrush. Now there are a lot of different ways that you can use paint brushes or watercolor brushes like this, and this is just the way that I prefer, especially when you're just laying down that first kind of wash of color. And for a lot of people, that's all they do. They do the wash and it's beautiful and they're done, and they keep it moving. For other people, they do like all the different layers and the textures and get that depth and dimension, and there's no right or wrong. You be true to you, you do you, and you color and you paint the way that brings you joy and brings you happiness. So like I said, I'm just using my work surface as my palette and just picking up the pigment as I go with my paintbrush. And one of the things that I like to do when I do this is kind of mix and blend my colors. You can see that I've got 2 different shades of brown, scribbled out there. One I think was called henna. I think this one is sepia. The darker one is sepia and the lighter one is henna. And I like to kind of mix them and get well, essentially a 3rd or even 4th or 5th shade of brown out of that, depending on how you mix it and if you're consistent. I'm not always consistent. I think you guys may already know that about me. If you don't, we're learning it. So yeah, now you can also take your pen to paper, and I do that a time or two, but you really get a lot of saturated color, and it's a really concentrated color, as you can see I'm doing there, to kind of get those darker shadows and those kind of deeper hues, if you will. So if I would have stopped around here, I think it would have been fine. Like I'm adding a little more dark than I probably should. Adding it to the hooves is not a big deal. I think it creates a difference. You can see the separation between the hooves and the shadows and that type of thing. But I go too far. Like, I don't show it, but I go too far. And we'll see where I ended up here in just a minute. Yeah, he looks like he got into like a spray tan booth or something. But this is what I came back to this morning. So, but I can fix it, right? I can fix it. So this is me settling in. I've got my cup of coffee, and yes, so we are going to fix this together. So what I'm going to do essentially is lift some of that pigment. And the first thing that you have to keep in mind is that you have to allow it to dry. Allow it to fully dry. And then when you come back, you use clean, clear water, and you add it little by little with the paintbrush, as I'm doing, to those overly saturated areas. Now you want to let it kind of sit there for a few moments, let it kind of reactivate that pigment, and then you come in with a clean towel or a clean spot on your towel, and you just dab it up. You don't smear, you don't smudge, you don't wipe, you just dab. And look at that, after just one application of clear water, it lifted that much color. And you do this as many times as you need to until you get the desired effect or the desired look that you are looking for. So, I mean, you can do it just one time. You can do it several times. I have never gone really deep with it. I don't think that you could ever fully lift the pigment up, but look at how much lighter that is. So much lighter. And I did it over the whole mousse. You can't really tell in this shot, but he is much lighter than he was in the beginning. So now I am coming in with my rainbow of Karin Brush Marker Pros, and I am just coloring and painting up a rainbow of Christmas lights. So you can see I'm adding some color directly to the lights, and then I come in with my wet brush and I spread that color out to get a little bit of gradation of color, if you will. So I'm just having a blast with this. Like, I love this whole rainbow effect. In fact, after Christmas, I'm ready for some rainbow. You'll be seeing some rainbow from me in some capacity, in some fashion, aside from these lights. Like, these are so bright and happy and colorful, and I just love them. But once I got those all colored in, then I realized, well, if this is going to be a scene, he needs to be sitting on something. So I just have some shades of blue, really light green, really light purple, and a gray, and I just kind of blend them out and just really lightly paint them under him, a little bit darker shade under him to be the ground, and then I go around him to kind of be the sky or the scene. And then now I'm using my second largest hexagonal die to cut him out. And then of course you can see that I have come in with stamp and stamped out those sweet little light garlands around his head, and I think that's really cute. And if you look closely, you can see that I kind of smudged the pigment that's in the lights. I thought that added kind of like a glow, the glow of the light, if you will. Maybe you don't think it was a successful effort. I don't know. I think it looks that way. You guys let me know if it just looks messy or if it looks like you can see it as a glow. But anyway, once I got that all done, then I decided that I wanted some snows. So I bring in the It's Snowing stencil. This is a relatively new one. And I add those snowflakes, and then I was not happy with the color that I put below him, so I used the stencil again to make some hills, some snowy hills, but I'm not liking that blue, so we'll see how I change that in a bit. Now I'm adding my stickles. I added, it was like a sunshiny or sunflower yellow to all the yellow bulbs, and the rest of them just get this iridescent kind of glittery one. I don't know the name of this one. I will try to find that particular bottle and make sure that I list that downstairs as well. But do you think that I put my fingers in that? Because you would be absolutely right. Now keep in mind that you can stop. If you want to recreate this card or something similar, you stop at any point along the way. You, like I said, be true to you. I'm being true to me, and this is just what I do. So obviously I came in with some of my Marvy snow pen, because that's what I have to do when it's a snow scene. I don't know why, I just feel compelled. So that Marvy snow pen just adds the texture and dimension, and I just love it. And yeah, I actually added 2 layers below him to get all that snowy billowy goodness. So now I'm finishing up this card base. As you can see, I scored it at the top at about 1/8 of an inch, and then I added some really strong double-sided tear tape as well as some liquid glue, because you know I need that wiggle room, as I do on the card panel that I'm adding here. I did a little bit of ink blending around the edges. You can see they're a little bit darker. And then of course some double-sided foam tape with that wet glue allows me some wiggle room so that I can get it lined up right where I want. And again, you can stop at any point along the way. This is an adorable card because it's an adorable image. But of course I have to come in with my white gel pen and add some highlights. And then, let me take a breath. I remembered that I had not colored in the light strings. So I pull out my Inkonic pens from Arteza, and I'm just filling in those lines, around those light wires. It helps when words come out correctly. But while I had my Inkonics out, I also wanted to add some more depth in some of those areas that I felt like I lifted too much. So just a couple different shades of brown, actually just kind of scribbled in the color, and then I came in with a wet paintbrush, as you can see, and just kind of blended it out a little bit. Now there was just too much to put on here, so just let me kind of tell you what else I did. I knew that for the mess that this mousse was in, the Good Grief word die was perfect for this. So I created some background paper and I die cut it out, and of course I layered it up on the background. And then I also added a bow, and I cut out 2 tags from the tag die set that I'm so obsessed with. And of course I used the same paper that I created the Good Grief with, and I made some tags out of those, and I stamped them up and colored those little images as well. And I added some bells and buttons and some charms and some beads. Holy cow, like literally all the bells and whistles on this guy. So y'all, have I worn you out? I've worn myself out. Anyway, this is my card, guys. Tell me, what do you think? Hey, you see those charms? Let me know if you have any advice on how I can make those better. I'm relatively new to that, and while these aren't awful, they're not what I want. So help me learn that. In the meantime, guys, I'd love to talk to you downstairs in the comments. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know what you're doing for the holidays, if you're doing anything for the holidays. And like, subscribe, comment, all the things, and I will see you soon in another video. Until next time, guys, this is Nancy, the Handy Scandy. Mwah! I love you, and I'm out.